Hello, everyone, and welcome to another horrific review. I'm joined once again by Clay as we discuss Attachment, directed by Gabriel Beer Gislason. Maja, a Danish has-been actress, falls in love with Lee, a Jewish academic from London. Lee suffers a mysterious seizure, and Maja returns with her to London. There she meets Leah's mother, Jana, a woman who could hold dark secrets. Clay,
I
welcome back.
agree. That's what happens.
Yeah. Welcome back. Sorry, did I do something to annoy you? Like
No, I genuinely like this movie, so I'm excited to debate it
this
with you.
this is going to be
Clearly, you do not.
this is going to be a fun chat then. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
let's do it. I actually love this
However,
movie.
however, there's something more important to talk about first because obviously, if you don't know Clay, obviously he's been on the show a number of times. Always great to have him back. But more importantly, he's another anthology out. Kern, Voices from the Cold, Book 2.
Yes. And it's not an anthology. Actually, it's a novella. So I have a
All
three
right.
novella trilogy, and it's the sequel to my. We talked about my book Crevasse before on here.
Oh yes.
Um,
I was about to say
This
that.
is the fancy new cover since I originally indie released this book and then it got picked up by Dark Forest Press.
Mhm.
So now it's a trilogy, and book 2, Cairn, is coming out May 2nd. And you can order it for pre-order if you're so inclined. But that's rock climbing horror, so it's good. It's a good time.
Yep, I had a look at Dark Forest Press, and their whole ethos is I think weird, off the cuff,
Yeah.
out there. So they seem to have a good ethos. I like that, and basically, the same as horrific publishing, just try and get people out there, and get it out, not the mainstream boring stuff that just paints by numbers.
Yeah, for sure. Very much into the bizarro realm. Vicar of Fists, like the other book that got picked up around the same time as Voices from the Cold, my trilogy. It starts with like a guy punching the Pope in the face, so and
Not
just
a bad
gets
hobby.
weirder and weirder for that. So you can dive into all the weirdness at Dark Forest Press. And Joe, the editor, is a really great dude. He's been working with Howells, the um, horror writing society that's been around for a few years and put out a lot of anthologies. He's worked with them for years. So yeah, he's a great dude. Does lots of weird stuff. So if you're into that, it's a
No,
fun time.
I'd like to get some publishers on the show at some point because, especially there's this expectation. I tried to have the conversation the last time, but it didn't really happen when the last celebration stream.
Hmm.
But I'm trying to open up the dialogue between what authors expect and what publishers expect from small press, publishing and the thing as a whole.
Yeah.
And nobody's having the conversation. And I don't mean to be antagonistic, I just want to have the conversation. Then everyone
Mhm.
knows what angles everyone's coming from, especially yeah, we're in the second year now of horrific publishing. And it's been a journey. It's still a journey, if that makes sense. And I've had
Oh
my
yeah.
eyes open from the other side.
Yeah, what kind of new things have you learned from that experience? Because I publish as well. I have Beneath the Rain Shadow books. Same as you. We're in our second year existing, but I've also been putting together the Crypticon Seattle Writing Contest anthology. This is my
Hmm.
third year doing that, and I've done a couple of anthos as we've talked about, like Bad Spirits on previous streams. So yeah, I'd love to hear your insight and have a little of that conversation right now if you want to.
All right, yeah, that'd be cool. In fact, that could be something as well for a future stream to expand upon. If we get a bunch of people together.
Yeah.
One thing I was surprised by is like the random people and their neediness. Like you get these random individuals who are super needy,
Yes.
and you're like, huh? Where does this come from? I want it done exactly this way and formatted this way in Europe. And it's like, hold on, I'm paying for this. I'm putting my money out, and
Yeah.
I have a theme. What I mean, I'm going to format it that it looks the way I want it. If you
Hmm.
want to do it, publish it yourself. Put your own collection together.
Right.
The reticence of authors to come on and talk has really annoyed me.
Hmm.
Because all you see in social media are authors complaining about, I don't get seen, I don't get exposure, blah, blah, blah. And then when you offer them a chance, particularly when you have a podcast built in, that was the whole point of this, is that it combines the two together. And then you never
Right.
see them. They ghost you, they blow you off and not a word, and don't help to promote either. Like just by putting a post out, someone,
Right.
quite a large percentage don't even do that. And you're kind of like, all right, cheers.
Yeah. No, it's definitely part of it. I think there's certainly a level of like entitlement out there and expectation that isn't realistic. I think what people don't realize, especially when it comes to like indie publishers like you and me, we are putting our own money into this, our own out of pocket money. Like if we are publicizing things, we're doing it on our own time. A lot of the
Mm,
time, we're doing it on our scarce days off, or we're doing it like in between two other things that we have big obligations to
mhm.
fulfill. And like we're doing this all for our own sweat, blood, and tears, our own passion. And passion means something you're willing to suffer for. So like that's what we're doing, you know, like and it isn't a huge ask to ask somebody who is going to be a part of that and expect the reward to help reap that reward, you know, and be a part of that work. So
Yeah, that's
it is hard to cope with that sometimes.
but when you try to have the conversation and there's people not even prepared to do it. Now, I've heard a
Yeah.
lot of and that's where I try to get the other perspective as well. I've heard so many horror stories, and then I wonder how many of them are
Yes.
made up with bad faith actors. You know, you get both sides, but publishers too. And I've always been conscious when I started this not to be that. And
Hmm.
the fact having a face and somebody you can talk to, I thought would help break down the barriers, but no, it's like,
Yeah.
not even going to partake in the discussion. It's like, well, okay, right. And
Yeah. And you know, ultimately that's what it boils down to. Like if we can't have the conversation, then we can't resolve anything and I can't prove anything to you as a publisher. And that goes the same for the authors. Like trust me, I'm an indie author as well.
mhm.
I work with a small press. I have had shitty dealings with the press. My one of my early books was like vanity published and I was too young to really know what that meant. I was too green and I fell for some of the
I think we
tricks
talked
and
about that.
we did. We
Yes,
did.
yes, we
And
did. We had a good conversation about that. Yep.
we did, and that's a real thing, and authors, like, you do have to be wary of that, but the other part of it is make sure you are willing to have those conversations if, you wanna publish with somebody, like, make sure they're a good fit because you are giving away some of your rights, you're giving away some of your profit, and that is okay if you want to partner with the publisher. Like, I encourage people to publish with indie publishers as long as it's a good fit and those people align with their mission, and ultimately everything is gonna bolster each other up, which Colin, I'm a huge advocate of your show. I love coming on here. That's why I do it more than once. And like, I will be the first to say, Colin is one of those people. Horrific is one of those places. Like this podcast is very accessible. It's open to anything, including reviewing this movie Attachment, which Colin evidently hates, but
Yeah,
I fucking love. So I can't wait to talk about it.
yeah, that's
Um, but you know that I want to advocate for you here, Colin, because I think you're a good dude, and I think you're trying to do the right thing. And authors out there, if you're interested in publishing with people like Colin, be open to the conversation because we're all doing this indie thing together, and it's not the same as traditional publishing. You can't expect a huge advance. You can't expect a whole marketing team to be behind your book. That whole marketing team is probably a guy like fucking Colin right there,
yeah. Or
and
Clay
he's
when
the
he's doing
Colin.
his, you know, it's
He's the accounting team too. He's the treasurer. He's the CEO. He's everything of Horrific. So you have to keep that in mind. That's how most indie publishers are run. Even more successful big ones like Meerkat Press is a good example. They published Keith Rawson's first book, which is now
oh
blown
yeah, I've
up
heard
and
about
been
them
picked
guys.
up.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's like one woman in her basement doing everything just like us, you know, like she got a hold of some really good stuff because she has a good eye for the craft and she's a strong editor and she made those books better and she put them out there, but she did the work and you have to be ready to have the conversation. Know you're on the right team.
Yeah, and it's just be prepared to put yourself forward. I think there's this idea of you sit in the wizard's tower on your keyboard, you know, and just work away and it all magically happens. Sorry, that's not the world we live in. You have to step up. You have to at least be able to be
Yeah.
not a performer, but just personable. Be able to have a conversation with folks. You know, and that's all you have to do. And I don't think I've ever been nasty to anybody or put them down. I've always tried to encourage people, having to come
Hmm.
on, try and get them comfortable, uh, so that they understand it's not a gotcha thing. That's not what I'm about.
Hmm.
So I just there's what how many thousand videos at this point, you know, that proves I've got proof, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. There's proof
that
out there for sure.
it's not what I'm about. So
Hmm.
if you're worried about it, have a look at previous interviews and conversations and see how it goes. And B, talk. But what I don't like is this idea that no, I'm not going to participate. I'm just going to leave you hanging. I'm going to say I'm going to something and then just not turn up, not even apology afterwards. And
Yeah,
that's
that's just bad behavior, no
Mm.
matter what industry or what we're doing. Like, don't do
basic
that.
manners. Yeah.
Don't ghost people.
No, like I said,
Even
that's
if,
happened.
yeah, right. That happens to all of us, I'm sure. Yeah, I think that's just another reminder. Like, be cognizant of what you're doing and understand that if you are gonna behave in that manner, you might end up getting talked about on a podcast like this.
That's the dangerous thing as well, because when you've got this, it's like it's not going to be a generic social media post that could be brushed off. It's going to be a full-on assault.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that as authors, we have that power, you know, like be careful if you're dating an author, not to be too big of an asshole. You could end up in the next book, and this is the podcast equivalent of that.
Yeah. But anyway,
Speaking of assholes, people that bring movies like this to
Yes.
Colin and say, "Hey, let's review this," and he says, "Sure, Clay, I trust you.
Yeah,
Let's
I
check it
trust
out."
you. You know what I'm about. You know what I like. Flip's sake, they're begging for blood in the comments already. Oh my god. Flip's sake.
Del Gibson NZ, love this person. Del Gibson, you're blowing up the comments, and I appreciate the hell out of you.
Right, so we'll start off with a wizard in the library, because yay, we need that. I was all for that, actually. I was just like, okay, yep, we've all been there. Shit's going wrong. Yep.
Yeah, we've all been there. I love the frazzlement, and I thought it was because ultimately, like, here's the thing.
Maya's my favorite character in this, by the way, just to start off. Like, she's the only one I had any. Yeah, she's the only one I sort of resonated with in any shape or form.
She's great. She's a great character. I mean, I understood Leah quite a bit too, but we'll get into that and why. But Maya's awesome. I mean, she's a really passionate character. She's somebody who just goes for everything, like 100%.
You mean like you meet someone and you move them in with you the same day?
Yes,
because
exactly.
that's sensible.
Like love isn't sensible, Colin. Okay,
I know.
ultimately,
I've been married twice. I know all about not being sensible.
Yeah, there you go. So you know how it is.
But I didn't do it the same day. It's like, hello, we've just met. Yeah, move in. Come on, let's do it. And then after a weekend together, yeah, I'm just gonna move back with you. And
yeah,
doesn't matter if I've got a job or a house or rent or a mortgage. Fuck it, you know.
I mean, she didn't really seem to have those things. She did kind of seem like it was an interesting dynamic of her character, I actually thought, because she's actually seems like she's so set up that she's like just super bored. It's kind of like the dark side of contentment, where it's like you get to this place where you don't have to worry about any of your hierarchical needs. So then she's just kind of like, give me anything different.
Oh, does that happen to people?
I don't know. Not for me, but
yeah, I'm just like, I wouldn't mind a bit of that.
If you find the path to that nirvana, let me know.
Yeah, I just felt like they rushed into the setup, like bang bang, right? We're together, right? I'm with you forever. Like if she had been studying in Denmark, or I think what would have been better, take the Denmark equation, have Maya studying in London. That would have made more sense. And build a bit of time with the relationship, because we've got all this rush, boom, 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 and then the thing just comes to a grinding halt, and just slugs for like an entire third of the movie, just grinds. And I'm just like, what's happening?
Right.
Well, also, how dare you have a lesbian themed movie and not one set of boobies? Not one. Like,
I think that's I was a very good indicator that this wasn't written by men.
I was offended on the deepest of levels. It's like not even a bit of it. One bra strap 2/3 into the movie. I'm like, really? I'm going through all this, and that's all I'm getting. Thanks.
Tragic. Yes, the male gaze was thoroughly removed from this movie, but I think that was pretty intentional.
I felt the finger getting flipped up at me. Trust me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No,
more than one
nothing
of them.
For you, boy.
This is true. I thought I had to realize too as I watched this movie again for the show, this really isn't as it is truly a marriage of two genres, but it does lean heavy on the romance in terms of being in terms of structure. It's very much like structured exactly like a romance story
Mm,
because it starts with that meet cute that you're talking about, which is where they bump into each other. She picks up the wrong book. And then I saw in your notes that you were like, it sounded like the bazooka story was probably better than the actual Christmas story she was there
yeah,
to read. And you're probably right. Because it sounded like it was really entertaining. The kids were having a good
but
time.
we didn't get enough of that. What we get is Maya just moping the rest of the movie, where here was a chance to get into her character and see that
Mm,
she's actually a storyteller. There's something to her, she
yeah.
is a performer, and that was all like brushed to the side.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of true. I can see
And
that.
no offense to the actress that plays Leah, but she's a wooden plank. Like there's an absolute charisma vacuum. Like I saw no chemistry between these two. And I
Oh,
saw
interesting.
one of the characters trying and the other just being like, I'm like, what the hell? And it just felt forced. Like
Mm.
even the bit they're leading up to their first kiss, like it's pondering, it's taking a whole night, and then when she does this awkward leap, and you're like, and then it just the passion fizzles out. Do you know what I mean? Like there should have been clothes left everywhere and strewn, and maybe a bedpost broken or something. If this go along with that passion of her jumping, but I just almost feel like she's painted by numbers, and I'm seeing no chemistry between them. And if this is about like most, because this is a supernatural movie,
Hmm.
and usually anything to do with demons or possession, it's love that gets it through. Like the classic is Poltergeist. It's the family's love that gets them
Hmm.
through. I didn't see any of this. I didn't see it at all. I just felt like people existing. Now, is that the caliber of acting? Is it the writing? Is that what they were told to do? I don't know. But I just felt like people were just doing things because they felt they had to, because the script told them to, not because their
Mm.
characters that were there were actually invested.
Interesting. I didn't feel that way at all. I thought the performances were pretty solid. I actually thought they were quite good. But the I could see where you're coming from with Leah as you hold her up against Maya, because that actress that played Maya was absolutely incredible, as was the mother. I think if
I
you
have to
had
say,
to, sorry, what's that?
I almost felt like Leah, sorry, Maya and Yana should have been together as opposed to Leah. I think that would have been a better match.
That would have been interesting. That would have been interesting for sure. Um, I don't know what Hana would look like as a romantic partner, but probably terrifying. Probably
Oh, yeah, without
terrifying.
a doubt, like that's one scary lady. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like that's one brave demon. I'll just say,
Oh my god. Yeah.
like that's like
Absolutely.
hanging about with that thing. You're like no,
Whew. Yeah. I wouldn't want to mess with with Hana. She was a force to be reckoned with for sure. And I mean that's why that demon stayed hidden for so long. Probably is the reality of it.
mm,
It had to get Leah away from her mother to even have any chance of taking back over, because when it tried it when she was a little kid, obviously, Hana showed up and was like, absolutely fucking not.
yeah. But even the whole premise, I think that's what gets me. It's the time scale and the premise. This just throws you off.
Mm,
So for some reason, Lee is allowed to go away for the weekend. That's essentially what it is.
right.
Yet she's in
That's
this
true.
highly controlled environment, and we don't get the purpose of the weekend away to
Mm,
another university because she's obviously not studying in Denmark. She's studying in London,
right.
so she has to go to Denmark to go to this particular library. It just we get nothing.
Yeah,
Just
that's true. I could see how a little more reinforcement of that might have helped with the plot. Like, why was it so important that she go away? Especially given the stakes of her going away were obviously extremely high, because it doesn't take very long for the Dybbuk to start like taking control back from her. It's literally the first
mhm,
night she's there with Maya in the room. She wakes up and is looking at the mirror all creepy. So that's kind of the
yeah,
introduction of the possession. But that, like you say, it takes one day, right? So it must have been pretty damn important for her to go to another country, which again adds a lot of time. Like, you don't just hop across the pond that easily. Like, it takes extra time to travel that far and all that. And like you said, is there not an equivalent to whatever she found in Denmark there that she couldn't find in England. I don't know. It doesn't necessarily seem like it because she references that her mom's Danish and that she has this like desire to get more in touch with that part of her family culture, but it doesn't necessarily seem essential to her character or her
No, and
arc
you
at
don't
any
do it
point.
over a weekend. I just felt like it
Right.
was a plot hook just to get these two to meet, which, considering most of this is set in London, why?
Mm,
That's like it's things that got to me rip apart a story. If you can't
yeah.
grasp, the logistics of the reality, look, ground the reality, then you can accept the fantastical. That's something I always
Hmm.
say. And the reality of these two meeting up over a weekend and blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden, like anybody in their own mind comes back to that sort of family, they'd be on the next flight. You know what I mean? Oh, that's too much for me. Because it was only a weekend at the end of the day.
Yeah, I
Um,
would push back against that though when it comes to love. I think love makes people pretty crazy. And maybe not all people, Colin. Maybe not those of us who have been through two marriages already and know the inherent fallacy behind those initial feelings.
Maybe
But
that's the 50 years of cynicism I've built up.
yeah, you might
Might
just
be
be too
playing into
cynical,
this.
bro. Because I do think that love does make people do crazy stuff. It's one of the most powerful forces in our bodies, like biologically and emotionally, and it can definitely override your better judgment on every single level, including your biology. So it didn't strike me as crazy. They are being crazy for sure, but it didn't strike me as crazy. The premise itself that struck me as actually somewhat realistic in terms of breaking the barriers of like what's like gonna happen every day. It should be a little fantastical. It's a story, and that's why these people are the main characters of the story, you
Mm.
know?
Like, I think they should have. That's the bit they should have expanded upon,
Mm,
because after they come back to London, the thing does slow down,
yeah,
and
yeah.
there's a lot of time spent. And to me, that's a lot of time that could have been better spent at the beginning. Make us believe in these two characters.
Mm, mhm,
It's simple. Make us believe it. Make us what make have Leah be there for a term or something, or a week, or it's a seminar she's attending, but she's sneaking out to watch Maya a couple of times do her performances.
mhm. That would've been
And
interesting.
not just Caesar once. That's for me. We've seen this before, even with romantic movies. That you see the romance burns. When somebody gets mesmerized by somebody else.
Mhm,
Do you know what I mean? We didn't get that, so it makes it hard then to grasp on the like you're throwing somebody into difficulties. This isn't 6 months into a relationship. This is 3 days into a relationship. You're dealing with all this craziness, and yeah, no, sorry, it's just hard to buy.
No, I could definitely agree with that, and I think that is a subjective viewpoint, like, that's gonna be really hard for a lot of people to buy. Personally, for me, I could buy it as a premise, and I was willing to go with it because I'm such a big fan of, like, slow burn horror.
Mm,
And this is the first layer of the title and the theme of the movie, which is attachment, that I thought was pretty brilliant because it analyzes all these different layers of attachment throughout the story. This being the first one, which is like that frivolous, emotionally charged attachment that you have to someone when you first fall in love with them, or you could even have it for a activity or a passion of any kind. But when you first fall in love with someone or something, you want to do it all the time. It's all you could think about. It just like is kind of all consuming. And I think this is the first layer of attachment that they're analyzing, and they're going ahead and leaning into it in kind of a pretty weird and like out there way
mm,
of like, yeah, let's just send these two women together to a very conservative Jewish household and see what happens. It's kind of the classic like Stephen King idea, right? Of put two characters in a room and see what they do. It
mm.
felt kind of like that. Like we're dropping these two characters that they're all consumed by their passion, their fling that they're in right now. And Maya's willing to, because I think because of partly where she is in her life, is willing to lean all the way into that because I think she's just dreadfully bored with what she's doing.
I think that should have been explored a bit more. Yeah, that's what I mean, bit more because Lee is giving us nothing. Like 10 minutes in this movie, and she's busy spending most of her time just laying on a bed.
Yeah.
like half stoned. Like that's I'm sorry, no, that's all the love in the world. That's 2 years and somebody falls ill, not after a weekend.
Right. Right.
Do you know what I mean? That's like you've got the hangover, woke up the next morning, you're like, right, we've nothing in common.
So you're not quite buying it. Sounds
I'm
like
not buying it. That's my major issue with this. I'm not buying it.
yeah, yeah. Like you're not buying Maya's attraction to Leah. Is that what I'm getting?
Or Leah's attraction to Maya. You know, I
Mm,
almost feel like Leah's not there, and
yeah.
it has to be like obsession. But then that's not going to save you against an evil entity. You know what I mean? If it's not true love, then that's you know what I mean that's how possessions work.
Mm-hmm.
That's in this case a dieback. It's not a traditional demon. It's from Jewish folklore. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know that's cool. And even the way that was introduced was clumsily handled, which just annoyed me. It was so aggressively like when we meet Lev, like he is all over the place.
How so?
He well, one minute he's like, get out of my shop, foreigner, and then he's like best friends, and then he's back to I will only explain so much to you. You know, and you're like, what the hell? Like a personality, you psycho.
I
No one
actually
needs no one you feel the first time, you lunatic fucking
he's definitely a bit of a crazy character, but I loved Lev. Um, because what was the turning point for me for him that actually did justify pretty much his flip? Because I felt like he was pretty consistent after that initial get out of my shop.
Hmm.
But then he saw the necklace and he knew exactly where it came from. So he was like, ooh, this lady is in danger. And then I think he was trying to help her from there. And I think he was probably trying to proactively protect Leah too, because if Leah has a new girlfriend, maybe this has happened before. Like this, and uh he knows that like she's in danger of like leaving the house and leaving Hana's protection. And he already thinks that Hana's handling this badly. So to me, that was sort of like the flip that went off in his brain, which was like,
Hmm.
oh, this lady's in danger. I need to step in and intervene here because I know Hana won't handle this the right way.
Yeah, like, but once again, it's just a clumsiness. There's a clumsiness to this movie that I can't get past, and it's almost like rocks smashing together and from scene to scene and from transition, and
Hmm.
it's like that needs to be sorted because you want to go along.
How would you sort it?
Well, once again, the beginning that needs to take place over a longer period of time
Hmm.
before you start getting into the drama. You need to have these two cemented, not Maya, you know, because she's bored and frustrated with life, fawning over somebody who's essentially a wooden plank, not really giving anything back.
Hmm.
I saw no on-screen chemistry, so that's not providing a good foundation for everything else. And then we're rammed into this, you know, moving to London, and we're seeing this secular community, which just depressing anyway. You know, you're not one of us. We're not going to welcome you. Oh, now you've got a magic amulet because we now know they will be sort of nice to you. That's horrible. You know what I mean? That if you want to endear people to a community of any sort, then be welcoming. You know what I mean? That's
Hmm.
what integration is all about, not standoffishness. And even somebody who's curious, you know, oh, you're not high enough level to come and ask questions, peasant. Fuck, fuck off, you arrogant twat. You know what I mean? I hate that. I hate that elitism. You know,
Yeah,
anybody,
yeah, I can see that.
anybody shows that elitism is like piss off. You know,
Hmm.
I'm not weighing you. So as a protagonist, that's horrible. So you're finding
Yeah.
it hard to sort of connect. Maya, not Maya, sorry. Yana, I understood is completely off her rocker. She is demented. And I don't think it's mental illness. I think she's just ground down.
Hmm.
That's obvious.
Yeah.
You know, she played a really good character. Like I said, I think Maya and Yana were a better mix. Those two would have been a better
Hmm.
couple. Leah's just giving me nothing. And then Lev was like this exposition device just inserted in. And it was just very clumsy inserted in. And then he started showing a bit towards the end, but it already like stuttered along to get there. And it was just like, why? I think he'd have been great as like a bad professor type character, you know, like a wizard's lure. oh, somebody wants to know, I'll tell you everything, and being super excited. That would have been fantastic. And then you
Yeah.
instantly would have latched on to it, and then you'd been on side.
Yeah. So you say it again, it sounds like to me, I saw Leah as kind of she maybe, and I could see this as a flaw that you're perceiving in the movie. But she was maybe more of a centerpiece around which the other major characters sort of rotated,
Hmm.
than a super fleshed out character in her own right. At least that's what it sounds like. Maybe you're
Yeah,
talking
it's more like a
speaking
plot
to,
device than
because
an actual living, breathing character, which,
right,
once again, if you're dealing with a love story and love conquers all, you've ruined that whole premise, in my opinion, anyway. That's just the way I say it. If I'm not feeling it,
yeah,
we've seen it with an exorcism movies. I mean, obviously I've seen your typical Roman Catholic ones. I've seen Tibetan ones. I've seen Korean ones. Or some Korean ones are quite good.
hmm, hmm,
I mean, I've seen various ones set up away. It's always the same. It's the whole faith. It's the belief,
yeah,
and it's the connection between the humans that conquers the entity trying to take over. When you're not seeing that, you're kind of like, oh dear.
yeah. And there is some there's like a sinister undertone to the conclusion of this movie too, which is that, like, sort of what you're speaking to. The love that conquers all at the end is actually like the one that maybe shouldn't have. Like, it is a relationship that is like essentially a month old at best.
Mhm.
If it's even that old. They're not really clear on how long they're in Denmark after they leave. I get the feeling it's only a few days. Judging by the speed of the Dybbuk's like progression earlier in the film. Um, so ultimately, they're only together a couple weeks, and it is kind of fucked up that like the Hana dies for the D. We do spoil on this show, as I recall.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
absolutely. So Hana is the one who steps into the circle and allows her soul to be devoured so that Leah can walk free, which makes perfect sense. You're going to sacrifice yourself for your daughter. That's a story as old as time. It's what Hana's already been doing for years. But
But
then
also,
we're
the
left with
oldest
this
trick in time.
relationship. It's
The
what?
oldest the oldest trick was played in time. The Dabbok pretend to leave. Like every Exorcist
Yes.
movie, the demon does that. Everyone,
Everyone ever.
come on,
Yes.
you're not falling for that first time. Oh, they are. Right. End of movie.
Doesn't it actually leave though? I think it actually leaves.
Does it? Because
I
if
don't
it's
know.
left open.
There is a little black like puff, and then
Yeah.
she no longer looks
So
pregnant.
demons can't do little black puffs.
I don't know if they can. This is unclear. You'd have to ask
Demons
Lev,
can
and I think
ectoplasm the
I'm not.
shit out of anything. They can rip walls apart. They can do anything. And so a little black puff, I don't see being a major hassle to them.
Could have just been a hairball. What was left of that
Yep.
little black cat,
Oh
unfortunately.
dear, bastard. Yep. That was it.
Yeah,
That was fluffy.
that's what it was. I
That's why
think.
she was
Yeah.
distended. The way it wasn't pregnancy, it was fluffy was in there.
Oh God. Yeah. Now it makes sense. Now it makes sense. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
on Colin's side now. I hate this movie too. Just playing. Just playing.
No, it's just there's a good movie in here. And this is what frustrates me is as a horror fan, we want stories from all over, all cultures, all across the globe. We want the most random tribe on the top of a
Hmm.
hill. We want your horror story. Tell it to us now. I
Oh
mean, we
yeah,
are the
sure.
a horror fan is the all-consuming beast.
Yes.
So a chance to hear a bit of folklore we're maybe not too familiar with, because obviously if
Hmm.
we go into one of these shops, we're told to get the fuck out immediately
Yeah.
because we're not advanced enough. So
Yes, this
we're
is
not
true.
allowed to learn about die books. It's illegal apparently. We get thrown out of shops. That's the
We
way it
will.
works.
We will.
Yeah.
Unless you
So
got a good amulet, you gotta go get yourself the right amulet.
yeah, but you have to you have to shake hands and all. So even to get into the shop, like fuck off. It's
Colin
not.
is so
It's not.
over it.
It's not really like that. Doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? Anybody
Yeah.
wants you to understand their culture would be well. Oh yes, I can. Here's something that can get you. Or I don't necessarily have, but here's Johan down the street. He can uh, bring you up to speed to this point. Blah blah blah. 100 times. If anyone is interested, like if anyone comes to talk to you as a horror fan, tell me more about the genre. you're bending their ear for 2 hours. You don't even realize you're going to do it.
Oh yeah, that's really it's them who's gonna regret that, not the
Yeah.
other way around.
No, you're not going to be, do not. I do. You're not advanced enough to talk to me about horror. Get away from me. You know for yourself if you're invested and if you're not even religious, but religion included, if you're passionate about something and your life's work is to study this thing and somebody's interested, you're like lights go off. Ah, I've got something to tell about this. Haha. I'd share this with this knowledge I've cultivated over the years, but don't get that here, and that's another major stumbling block. And it
Mm,
just takes it's amazing how it just takes a couple of scenes to something that's a bit janky with a time like timelines and time scales. I'm very much about that.
yeah, yeah,
If I
yeah,
if I get janky timelines and time scales and things don't fit, I'm out. I can't suspend disbelief and go
right.
along with the story. And I've loads of reviews that's usually my main thing. If I don't feel like it makes sense in the real world at that point, how people meet or get on or interact with each other, I'm out. I'm like, oh no, this is somebody that's never met another human being. Whoever's written this has been in the basement for too long and not actually doesn't actually know how to socialize.
Yeah. And there's that is always a potential thing when you're reading something that was written by a horror writer, you know? You never know how often we emerge from the basement. It just depends on who we are.
Yeah.
I have a question for you though,
Hmm.
then, just to slightly push back on that idea. I get the vibe from Lev's character that he's more trying to protect people than he is trying to be elitist. And this is so, like in indigenous culture in America, for example, it's actually pretty hard to get like uh, any kind of like real information about indigenous folklore and the spirit, malevolent spirits and stuff that they fear. Like most of that we know in pop culture is
Yeah,
wrong.
because that's the speak of things to invoke it, like a
Yes,
Navajo tribe, like
exactly, exactly.
Cabron's Navajo, and he's explained a lot to me.
Right.
That it's you basically that's why there's no written lore,
Exactly, exactly. And that
and
goes
that's why it's
for
elder to elder, passed down, shaman to shaman. That's why it works. Outside of that, you don't get the information because it's guarded.
yeah, so do you think there's a place for that in, this setting with Lev? Like, do
No,
you think
because
he's more
it's
trying to do
they're
that or no?
documenting the produced books. So they
Oh,
do the
okay,
opposite of
I
that
see.
because they produce lore, they produce written lore. It's written in their text, it's written in their holy text, it's written into their stories. So that's completely antithesis to like a Navajo. Like I don't really know much. Who's the other one? I know more about Navajo because of Cameron because he's talked to me a lot offline and stuff. About
Mhm,
uh,
mhm,
the way it works. But I think Apache's not very similar. Various it's the same sort of culture. That
mhm.
that's why they don't write things down. That's why there's not the same cave paintings and stuff because it's to talk about such a thing is to invoke it.
Yes,
So
right.
that's why they're guarding it. That makes perfect sense. Once I understood that, no, that's why there's not too much Native American stuff out there because that's fundamentally their belief is we don't talk about such things.
Right, right.
But this is
But,
completely different.
yeah, just because so you're saying just because it's in a book, it makes it completely separate from that other example. You don't think
Absolutely. Yep.
Lev is trying to, like, protect from that sort of thing, and that's why he doesn't let her in until he realizes she's directly in danger from it? Or you just think
No.
he's being a pretentious
I,
douche?
I just think he's been an arse. I just think he was badly I just think it was badly written.
Ah, I see, okay.
I just think it was badly written the way his introduction. Like I said, I think the actors did what they were told to do, and I just um maybe what Chris says here, maybe it was edited wrong. Maybe they were just trying to rush this first part, which to me was the fundamental mistake. They should have let this first part breathe because it spent too long in a holding pattern. Because
Mhm,
we spent all this time in a holding pattern in the apartment with not very much happening, and then we got this rush conclusion. So
mm,
bring those two, what I mean, expand out the conclusion, expand out the intro. It would have been a better pace. I think it is the pacing. That's what
yeah.
really gets me. That this you feel like it's sort of clunking and hitting boulders or road bumps along the way here, and you're just meant to smash into the next part of the story and just go along with it.
I guess I didn't feel that way about the middle. It didn't feel like a holding pattern to me, and I'll tell you why. Because to me, it felt like the characters still had a lot of agency, and we're enacting narrative movement forward. Like Maya, the entire time is trying to do something. So there's a lot of
Mm.
like stories where I would agree with you on holding patterns are terrible and they really slow the pace and they kill a story for me too. This one didn't do that for me because Maya was actively trying to do stuff. She was trying to understand the community. She went out and explored it on her own. And when she realized that wasn't maybe the best option, she tried to actively connect with Hana. She volunteered to help her with chores. They were having a beer together. And then she made that terrible mistake of saying, "Oh, I think we're going to go traveling." And Hana was like, "The hell you are." And
But
then she goes even further by like literally poisoning herself to separate the two when she starts to believe that Hana, because she sees her breaking Leah's leg on purpose, she starts to believe that Hana is the actual threat and that she is mentally unstable and that she's literally hurting her own daughter to keep her in the house and keep her separate from a relationship. That's obviously
then why was she
something that
allowed
we
to
would.
go on a weekend by herself in the first place? If that's a
What's that
level
now?
of control, why was she allowed to go on a weekend by herself if that's a level of control?
Yeah, no, no, I
That's,
do hear
you
that.
know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
completely messes us up. If Maya had come to London and been studying in London, fair
Hmm.
enough, it would have all fitted in.
Yeah, no, I can see that point. That is one I can certainly
It's
agree with you
something in the
on.
back of my head, just scratching at me as we're going along this. Like, if she's so controlling, how did she get away like this in the first place? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And I think that in sometimes in stories, there's a level of if we lost them there, we never had them for this movie. They aren't our target audience, et cetera, et cetera. And I think the example of that here is they did justify that in her calling incessantly. Her like her mom calls her
Mm,
like 4, 5, 6 times just in that first night that she's not home on time, right? She calls her constantly.
mm,
So that, and I think that a second, especially upon a second watch, I loved the performance from Hana when Leah first gets home because it really subverts that like Jewish mother stereotype. When we show up and Hana is the most stereotypical, overbearing Jewish mother that you could ever imagine, you think, oh, it's because she's that stereotype. But that is not actually what it is. The reason she's so thrilled and so relieved that Leah is home and so eager to immediately be like, you need your crazy massage and your weird chicken soup that no one else can eat,
mhm.
is because she literally thought her daughter was already dead. And she's now realizing that is not true. So, like, I feel like there was levels of justification in there that for the writer of this particular story, those levels of it was enough. And that's not what the story's about. So it's not where she put her emphasis. But I can totally understand what you're
Mm.
saying about not grounding the foundation enough. That wasn't the case for me, but it's an argument that makes sense to me.
Yeah, that's, what I mean, we're not going to fall out over it for flip's sake. It's a movie at the end of the day. That's it's
Right.
not like getting this camp, that camp. And funny that's the beauty of art. I've
Yes.
always said that you can watch the same medium, you can experience the same medium in different ways and have different views on it.
Yeah,
If it was
totally.
all the same, there would be one painting, one movie, one book, one piece of music, one song. That's all we'd need.
Just let AI fucking do it at that
Yeah.
point.
But that's not what it's about. That's
Yep.
I never expect anyone to come on here and like, oh, we're always singing in harmony. You know what I mean? Fuck, that'd be boring.
It would. And you'd be no better than Lev if you did that, Colin. You'd
No,
be that pretentious
get
douche.
out of here.
Yeah, you don't agree with me.
Click, no.
You're not a high enough level of horror fan to be on this show.
Oh, I hate that. Oh, don't start me on that. See people that do that. If you haven't watched these 10 movies, I'm like, you dickhead, go get a life. Don't ever say that to anybody. That's I want more people to experience the genre, and even if they
Hmm.
don't like every movie, but there may be like 5 movies that happened before, and they don't pan in the genre thinking it's all the same thing, or the fans are all the same thing. I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Oh, me
You know,
too.
yeah, that's what I mean. Lev's character, I just felt like clunky writing because that bit at the start just doesn't really tie in with Lev's character following forward. And I'd have preferred him to be like a nutty professor. That would have been much better for us. And then he didn't realize until he thought it was just idle curiosity. And then the realization of, oh shit, this is actually serious. Oh, right. Now you need to really learn. To me,
Hmm.
that would have that would have transitioned better into that sense of urgency.
Yeah, I guess I felt like he did do that, but he did it in a way that rather than like Nutty Professor, which maybe would work in the right story, but I think in this story, he was trying to come across as a person who could be trusted, even
Mm.
though he didn't necessarily get that because he was getting she was also getting influences from two other places, and from her own experience in the house, which was pretty unsettling with like the candle and the weird way that Hannah treated her, right? But I think
Well, if you're living
he
in a flat above your mother who has
I
a key
mean,
to your
red
house,
flags.
yeah,
Huge red flag. And your mother walks in on you during a very obvious like sexual situation and insists that you just leave when you're like a grown ass adult. That's a big red flag.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
at least it's not
But you know,
Midsummer,
it's not.
where
It's
at least
not
you don't have
midsummer.
the mother coming up and singing to you while you're trying to do business and the grandmother slapping you
Yeah,
in the arse. That's a bit weirder.
it was.
When the
And
grandmother's going, get in there, get in there, get in there.
that's a very different cultural
That's yeah,
explanation in
that's another
Midsummer.
red flag. You know what I mean? We're trying to avoid that.
Definitely. I don't want to know which one of your marriages had that kind of thing involved, Colin, but hopefully neither of them.
Oh dear.
Yeah, no, I hear you though. I think Lev, he felt like a realistic character to me, honestly. Even just the way he approached the situation. Like he knew he was walking on eggshells, dealing with his sister-in-law and dealing with Leah, and knowing full well, believing full well that there was an actual literal demon in this house, right? So
Mhm.
that's and I mean a Dybbuk, not a demon, but that's a weird situation for a character to be in, and we realize in
Even
retrospect that he was literally there.
even the way I explained the Divok, he's also very aggressive about it. It's like, right, it's a tortured soul that's inhabits the person of a living person, and until you know who they are and what they want, and Maya goes, "Oh, like a ghost." No, it's
No.
a tortured soul. No, how dare you? Like, fucking calm down. Like, if you were trying to encourage somebody to learn, you'd be like, "Yeah, you're close, but this is where it differs from a ghost.
Yeah.
A ghost focuses on this, blah blah blah, and a Divok is more this." Then, you know what I mean? But just that, no, it's not. It's fucking nice. It's a Divok and it's different, and you up yours. I'm like, that's what I'm saying about the flip flopping of his character. It's like, pick a personality and stick with it.
I thought that was pretty consistent, honestly. I think he's just kind of an eccentric dude, and I don't think he was a good teacher. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's an inconsistent character. I think he was consistently a bad teacher and
Mm,
pretty bad at like saying what he was thinking, even if it wasn't helpful. Like
mm.
when she drops the peanut snacks on the floor, and he's like, Why'd you have to throw them on the floor?"
They weren't
It's
even
like,
opened.
I mean, I know.
Like, it wasn't the end of the world. Like, do you reckon he's a bit in the spectrum, man? Is that what you're trying to say?
What's that now?
Do you reckon he's a little bit on the spectrum?
I mean, I'm not gonna speculate on that. I'm not a
You think,
psychologist.
yeah,
That's murky waters, my friend. I'm gonna
right.
stay out of those
Like, it's
waters.
just a personal tick then, just that he just can't, like, he doesn't have that safety valve.
Right. I think for whatever reason it is, he definitely doesn't have like the social awareness. He's not picking up on the social cues, or he doesn't care about them to the degree that maybe society expects him to. That uh he doesn't adhere to them in the way that like someone who's more socially aware like Maya does.
Hmm.
He's also, I mean, I don't know. I think there is a level, and I'd be interested to hear what you think about this, within or without a story. But if you knew for a fact that Dybbuks were real, and that there is an important distinction between a Dybbuk, a ghost, a demon, in the ways that they are handled spiritually, and the ways that they can be expelled, and the way, like, he knows this, like, we as the audience early in the story aren't sure if Dybbuks are real, right?
Yeah.
Technically,
In
we know
this
we're watching a
universe.
horror movie, so
Yep.
right, that's what I'm saying. So like, we know that we're watching a horror movie, and there's it probably one of those monsters that he introduces. The three monsters he shows is one of them's probably real, and there's kind of the red herring of the witch, which we can immediately be like, Honda's obviously the witch. What's
Yeah.
happening here? Um, But like, if you knew for a fact that Dybbuk's were real and that they were for a fact different than ghosts and how you handle them spiritually and the existential threat they pose, would you not be a little more protective of that distinction and maybe a little bit more defensive of it when it gets misconstrued?
But then you would explain.
If you were a good teacher.
Fair enough. That's. But then why set yourself up as a scholar, and put yourself in that position?
Well, I mean, I think he was pretty clear about that, right? He was like, "This shop's not really for you. Get out." I think that is how he set himself up,
Okay, well, fair enough. So you already have to have you, so I don't have to explain anything because I'm shit at it. Come in. That's like me. I hate people. I do. I just generally people
Yeah.
annoy me, right?
Right.
Yet I work in a customer service environment, and I expect my customers to bring their own customer service with them, so I don't have to. And sometimes I do communicate that very clearly. You're annoying me now. What more do you want from me?
Hey, that's a service to the customer, maybe just not the one they wanted.
Sometimes my services throw them out. I've done that.
Yeah.
Out.
Here's my service to you. This is not the place.
Yeah, go somewhere else. See that place you're talking about gives you better customer service? Go to it. It's not here.
It does exist.
Yeah.
It does exist. That's awesome.
But the ones that get me, you know what I mean? That's so maybe I'm starting to twig on the left more to realize.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Put my mind to it. Like towards the end, there's a bit of comedy, random comedy with this character. You think that's what they were trying to do? Maybe make this comedic, but it just didn't land initially. Like the bit in the forest when he's like, "Why are we in a forest?" He's almost like he's almost German in his, why is this in a forest? It should be at a road, at a house. Why forest? Just having that meltdown.
Do you live here in the trees? Yeah. I think he had I interpreted a few of his other actions as that sort of kind of comedy. Like I thought just his awkwardness was somewhat comedic throughout. Like when she goes he says something like he's talking about that book and he's like it talks about Dybbuk's and the like. And she's like, or demons and the like. Oh, he's talking about the amulet. He's like, that protects from demons. And the like. And she's like, oh, demons. And he's like, and the like. He's like very particular about like, no, and the like. You have to understand that there's a lot of things that Amethyst is doing. And you don't understand them. So it's important that I reiterate that. Yeah. Even though, again, it's like really awkward socially. And it's that same kind of humor, I thought. But yeah.
Maybe that's what it was. It just didn't land for me because it just felt that like, I don't know. Maybe we needed somebody else to go, yeah, he's like that. I think you need that point of view character then, but no use. She's off in her own world. Lives. You almost need another character to go, yeah. Even Leah, like where the Leah fucking disappears from this movie.
Yeah.
Right, a third India and just disappears to the final act. Why is it Leah being, oh yeah, Lev doesn't, Uncle Lev can't really talk to people.
Right. Just a line like that would have helped.
Yeah, we needed eased into this, but Leah, like I said, effectively checks out 1/3 in this movie, and it stops being about her. She may as well not have been in the movie, and Maja may as well just visit the house as a tenant or something, because that's the way it sort of went.
Yeah, no, I mean,
once again, back to having no chemistry. It's supposed to be a romance, but yeah, it's like a fling at the weekend, and then it's not about that. It becomes a job.
It does become a bit of a chore, that's for sure.
This is where we should have seen the relationship. The moments with Leah and Maja. Her maybe explaining about her family and blah blah blah, and tender moments. But you weren't. You're just feeling. I felt flat, and I felt like the moments were forced. Like the actors had no chemistry, no on-screen chemistry between each other. So they were trying their best, but there was nothing there. You're not feeling it. So that didn't help.
Yeah.
You needed somebody to help us understand especially with a character like Lev. That would have made more sense. An interesting one was the fact that when she went shopping with Yana, and she's effectively going around to pick up magical supplies. So it's an open, which is, gathering spellcraft and stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
Ice bags.
what in particular was interesting about that, from your perspective?
Well, the fact that it's not hidden away, a hidden secret in the house, that everybody in the neighborhood, like everybody involved, all the shops, they all
Oh,
know.
yeah.
They all know that Leah's possessed by a diebook. So
Right.
why is Yana on her own dealing with it?
Yeah, that is
But she still
interesting.
goes out to get the supply, so they all know. They're all not disputing. And obviously, at the end, a lot of rabbis turn up. So it's not like I'm thinking of a medieval horror where they tried to use demonic possession as a defense, but they're still in denial. And even the church is like, all right, we don't believe us. We already say it now. There's no that
Mhm.
going on. These people 100% believe, they're 100% taking part in the protection. So I didn't feel the community spirit. Once again, it's a bit that just feels disconnected.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and one I hadn't thought of. Like, why don't they do anything about it earlier? And I know Lev at one point in the story says they tried before, but that does feel a little flimsy when held up against the fact that they're all willing to go to Denmark together to do it at like the final hour.
Mhm.
That doesn't really make sense. Like, why would they have let her leave for a weekend in the first place if it could happen this quickly? And then secondarily, why wouldn't they try again if they know it's like lethal? I don't know that we ever get a very satisfactory answer from Hannah as to why she's not willing to try it again. I know that she's
Mhm.
afraid her daughter will die, and that's like the obvious reason. But I don't know. It seems like something that requires a more drastic measure very clearly at this point. And like you're saying, the community is in on it on such a level that it's like, I feel like they would be inclined to intervene for the greater good more than they'd be inclined to like continue to hide this secret, especially since this Dybbuk has killed somebody before,
Yeah.
probably in the community.
Yeah, some young girl, which we'll find out. But also, Lev made a comment about how Maya could change things, could be an
Yeah,
important part, and then we get nothing.
as to why.
No, or preparing her for it. This should have been. There's so
Oh
much
yeah,
time that could have been spent seeing Maya get prepared for this. That this is what she's in for, and then we could have been drip fed the exposition.
right.
And as Yana is now taken around, the other members, instead of them all just turning up last minute, see one scene of them in the shop, and then them turning up last minute, she could have been talking, to start visiting the house. And to me, that
Yeah.
would have been a better use of screen time than this strange button of heads between Maya and Yana, because we already had the blow up. So that should have
Hmm.
been the air cleared. I'd understand they're in the same time. So to me, like I said, the last part should have been expanded out. And I
Yeah.
don't think the trip to Denmark helped.
No, I do agree with that. I don't necessarily think the trip to Denmark helped.
Yes, okay, the catalyst for the weekend away, that's what started the Devok, and it's now accelerated. It's had a chance to break out. So whatever Yana was doing is not working. That should have been the whole premise of the movie. Then building up for another, right, we're going to have to do the ritual again. And just had it in the
Hmm.
house. Just had it in the
Hmm.
same place. And then have Maya built up
Hmm.
to deal with it, and then we could have got something more. But that's it. Just like I said, this whole clunkiness of the way it is, and uh, no tenderness. This in a romance, and there's no tenderness. I just don't get it.
I think there was plenty of tenderness early, but I agree in the middle and late parts of the story for sure. And I do agree with you there. I could certainly see this movie. I could see the argument for it would have been more powerful and more threatening for the Dybbuk to like be able to take control of Leah even amongst the house that she inhabits and that has
Mm,
protected her for so long, because and you have so many like story seeds planted throughout that would justify that, right? You have Maya breaks the bowl.
mhm.
You have Leah starting to doubt the significance of her mother's rituals and her mother's faith even more than she did before, because she clearly says that to Maya, like, I'm here because my mom's crazy, I'm here to help her. So she already had that in her mind, but I think it's getting worse. with
Mhm.
Maya in the room. And then you also have like Maya taking the little scroll out of the
The names
wall.
of
So like,
God out of the
yeah,
yeah.
actively removing wards, actively breaking that bowl thing, actively like going behind her back, blowing out the candle every night, like doing all these things that Hana has been leaving the book open, right? I mean,
Mhm.
that's one of my favorite like Jewish folklore traditions that I just think is nice and creepy. Of like, if you leave a book open, evil spirits will read it and learn from it. But she's
I
doing
just
all
think you're a bit
things.
of a twat.
You think I'm a twat?
No, if you leave books
Oh,
open and don't put a bookmark in,
just in general.
yeah, like there's no call for that in a civilized society.
We're trying to have a fucking society here. Get it
Yeah, come
together.
on, get that sorted. 100% on
That's
board.
now on that we can agree, Colin.
Yeah.
On that we can agree. We don't
And
even need a
if you're
religious
the type that
superstition.
folds corners of pages, then you deserve it to have rammed right into you.
If not two or three of the fuckers.
Yeah.
I agree. You're no better than someone who talks in a movie theater. You probably are that same person, you piece of shit. But yes, I totally agree with you there that would have been more powerful to me than the trip to Denmark. The trip to Denmark felt like a little bit of the easy way out. And then
Mhm.
I saw in your notes too, like, must be nice to have this summer home that you can just fuck off to whenever you want to.
Yeah.
And my problem with that, I think, is different than yours. My problem with that was, how is that place so clean?
Yeah,
How
it's
is
supposed
that
to be
summer home
servants and yeah, yeah.
so well maintained? Like, how, it doesn't seem like Maya's going there very often. So like, how is it so well maintained? Why does the neighbor know that someone's there? Like, I don't know. There was lots of like levels to that I didn't really understand. Like, it feels like if you were never there, that place would be in more disrepair or something, and that would have worked too. Like if it
Hmm.
was in like extreme disrepair, and she was like, "Oh, we're just here for a little while," and Leah doesn't care, kind of thing. Like her nonchalance towards something like that could have been a really good indicator of like how bad this has gotten. I
Mhm.
don't know that we needed another one because she's like very clearly snapped. But the uh the trip to Denmark was one of my least favorite parts of the movie. I agree with you that it would have been much more powerful for it to happen in the house because that would have really illustrated Dybbuk's power. And it did feel like the ending to me was pretty anticlimactic because this Dybbuk finally gets out, finally kills like a person, and then is threatening Maya. And immediately Lev walks in and he's just like, nope. And then that's it. You know,
And
we know there's going to be a sacrifice, but the Dybbuk's threat was like way too easily mitigated. Also, how did Lev even find the house? Because Maya didn't tell him where it was,
no,
and
and took off in her
it's not
bike.
like that easy to do that.
In rural Denmark as well, like
Yeah.
the sticks. No,
Yeah, especially
that's what I mean.
like
It just felt like too. And also it took away from the build up.
yes.
We never found out who this Divok was. What did they? I mean, the two questions that really we should have had answered.
Mm,
What did they want? Why was it fixated on Yana?
yeah.
Was it against her? Did it want to kill her? Why? There has to be a reason. Even ghost stories, there's always, there's a reason why the haunt were the haunt. There's a resolution that has to be discovered.
Yeah.
And we didn't get that. And once again, Maya was then pushed to the side because it was then Lev's turn to take over.
Yeah.
And I was like, hang on, I thought this was meant to be like to me, romance and is about acceptance and coming together. So Maya should have been accepted at this point, part of the solution. Their
Mhm.
love was meant to conquer all. No, no, that just all gets shoved to the side.
Yeah, I felt like Maya was left less the love that conquers all and more like the love that was left
Mm,
after like her family was destroyed by this thing, which is interesting and not necessarily the message that we were meant to take home. Because I agree with you. I do think at the end, a lot of the buildup doesn't quite pay off because of the way it was executed, and that largely comes down to that trip to Denmark and this whole different location that we had no connection to, and the sort of Deus ex machina ending of just Lev walking in and snapping his fingers, and the Dybbuk threat is not extinguished because obviously it still kills Hana at the end of the day, and
mhm.
Hana was a good character, but
But it was the
it
Devar that
wasn't
killed
nearly.
Hannah.
It was actually the Devourer. You're
Yeah,
right.
because they evoked the
Yeah,
Devour, and it had to, if you evoke it, it has to leave with the soul. So that.
right. So it wasn't even the Dybbuk. Technically, the Dybbuk
But
just bounces.
how did how is that never going ever going to work then? If the Diva can just leave,
Yeah, I don't
what
know.
was the point of the protection circle?
I don't know. I guess to keep it from attacking people outside the circle. It doesn't seem like the Dybbuk's able to just enter anybody it wants.
Yeah,
It's not like a supernatural demon where it can just fly out. Supernatural, the TV show I'm referring to, all demons are kind of inherently supernatural, but it doesn't seem like it can just fly out and black puff its way into another person,
yeah.
whoever it
It's just
chooses.
still be trapped in that circle. So that didn't make sense because nobody broke a circle because that's always a trope.
Right,
That didn't
right,
get nobody broke a circle.
true.
Um,
Which, by the way, there's no way that Hana would be able to lift Leah that easily and just like lift her over the circle the way she did. People are heavy when
yeah,
they're dead weight. Like, there's
even
no fucking way.
even a tiny wee thing like that just doesn't.
Yeah,
No,
even a tiny lady like Leah, it's not
but you
gonna
see where I'm
happen.
getting. There's a clumsiness to this, which is really off-putting.
I
The
am agreeing
premise of the
with you.
story, the idea, I get. I could have been fully on board with it. Could have been really great, but
Hmm.
there's a jankiness all the way through this that just takes you out, and I can't abide that. It's just like, come on, why are you doing this?
Yeah, and I guess that's our fundamental point of disagreement
Mm,
is the all the way through part. I totally disagree with you on the all the way through. I actually think until they go to Denmark, that this all fits together really well and is really well written and intentionally written. I think it's more about its theme than it is about its like timeline or setting, and I think that might be somewhere where we're bashing heads. But
mm,
I agree with you at the end that those problems that you found inherently throughout really do kind of culminate there at the end because I do feel like the end is pretty clunky
you
and doesn't
can't
quite.
ignore it. Then it's just like, oh, come on, like, what was the end game of either of what was the end game of the diebook? Why is it
Yeah.
satisfied?
Well, here's what I would say to that.
It's already killed. It's already killed a cat, and it's already killed another human
Right.
before it gets to the circle. So what was it trying to achieve? Why Yana?
Well, and here's the point. Here's what I think the point is there from the storyteller, not from the Dybbuk. We don't get that answer, but I do think that's the story's point. I don't think you always get the answer. And I
Mm,
think that that is something you have to accept. And I think something that the horror genre specifically can do really well is like allow the horror that lived in the story to sort of echo out beyond the story. And you can kind of contemplate it as a consumer of horror. And I think this kind of does that because we don't always get the answer we want. Sometimes people die and we didn't get to hear their last words. We didn't get that apology we needed. We didn't ever get to hear them tell us that they loved us or whatever it might be. And I think this is sort of more of a reflection of that than it is your typical ending of like making sure to deliver on all the promises of the premise. I don't think every story is as obliged to do that as some people do. And
mm.
I kind of like it sometimes because it rings as realistic to me when characters don't get all the answers. But that's, again, art is so subjective, like you were saying, and that can be what's beautiful about it.
Because we get this funny stuff that basically they're going to go off traveling. Maya
Yeah.
is then going to be the new wizard, and she wasn't allowed to read any of the books, so she's just going to wing it, and it's going to be fine.
I think she has the book though, right? At the end, she has all the stuff.
But you know what I mean. She's
I
just
do.
going to do
I do.
this. Somebody who's there's a difference between somebody actually trained in magic, and actually
Yeah.
practicing magic, and then somebody just goes, "Oh, have we got that?"
Yeah.
Where Yana dedicated her life to this, but Maya's
Right.
just gonna, I'll just throw a few things in the bag. And never mind the fact that she has to restock and supplies every week. Nah, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah. To be fair, that's consistent with Maya's character. She does that with this entire relationship. She goes, this is pretty fun. Let's just do this
Yes.
forever and let's just move in together right now. We've known each other for 2 days.
Yeah, why not? What a weekend.
What a weekend.
We
Hell
didn't
of
get
a
to see any
weekend.
of it. Well, I think we needed to see some of that weekend, so we got an impression of how good Leah was because she didn't see it either any other way.
You're such a Leah hater.
I just for the focus of if you've got a character that's the focus of love and attention and adoration and loyalty.
From every
They
other
have to have
character in the movie.
a bit of charisma.
Yeah,
They have to have a
yeah,
lot of charisma.
yeah. I definitely hear you on that. I think that's of vital importance. I guess I didn't find her as uncharismatic as you did, so that's
Mm.
probably a big part of why the movie worked for me more than it did for you, which is to say it all. And, the,
Maybe it's because I live in London and I know the type. That might be it
mm,
as well. I'm like, oh, right, okay,
maybe. Maybe it is.
yeah.
I don't know that I do know the type. How would you categorize the
Just
type?
yeah, just bland.
Mm.
There's no real. You'd meet them and honestly, like 2 drinks later, you're like, oh right, oh sorry, gotta go. Emergency. You're like, it's just not.
Oh, interesting. So is Leah essentially like so in America, we would probably call that like the Valley Girl, which is like your hot girl from California, that talks with like that California girl
Yeah,
accent.
but she's a Londoner.
Is this the London equivalent of that?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay. Now,
With her
maybe
put
you're
on
right.
voice and everything else, you're like, oh god, get the hell away from me. you know,
Okay. Yes, maybe there
there's a
is,
typical
Colin, a
Southerner.
cultural blindness that I have
Yeah,
here to London.
there's a typical Southerner thing. She's just your typical stuck-up Southern person. Like, oh,
Gotcha.
you
Gotcha.
know, there's that whole thing, cultural thing. So you're like, yeah, no, no, thanks.
I see.
And
Okay,
it just
that's
not.
really interesting. That's really interesting because I would feel the same way if, like, I saw a very typical, like, Valley Girl portrayal and I was
Mm,
supposed to just automatically be in love with her. So it sounds like that's kind of what's happening here with Leah
yeah,
for
and
you.
you'd just be like, yeah, no thanks. I'm not buying it. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, that's a great point. I
Yep.
mean, I would have never
But that's
obviously
why I said the
understood
flipping
that,
the relationship should have been Maya and Yara. Those two would have been perfect.
Yeah, they've been great together. Well, not really,
And
but they'd
actually,
they'd have
no,
been
but
entertaining.
Maya breaking through Yana, Yana's sense of devotion to her daughter, and she can't, maybe the same thing. Maya's in the neighborhood, she bumped into Yana getting her supplies and instantly fell in love, and then Yana forgot her duties. And then that's where,
Yeah,
for
that
a
could be
moment, that
interesting.
releases the daybook, and then we had to cover for that angle. I would have had much more fun, I think.
That's fair.
And
Now, does it have
Leah
to
just
be
being the
a
sickly daughter,
So then my question for you is, does that have to be the romantic center relationship, or can you enjoy this movie for the relationship that does develop between Yana and Maya, which was probably my favorite relationship in
I
the movie
think
too?
those two should have been the romantic relationship. That's much more chemistry on screen. That actually, even as antagonists, had more chemistry than I didn't buy Maya and Lee. Didn't buy it.
Yeah,
Just wasn't there.
but
I
you
could have
still weren't
seen.
able to have fun with the relationship that was there between them, just
No,
because the foundation of it was
it
not
just
working
felt
for you.
forced. Yeah, it just felt forced. I could
Okay.
have seen a better relationship between Maya and Yana if it was a completely different setup and those two were in a relationship and it just happened to be that Yana's obsession with her daughter was holding them back and she can't fully explain why. And then it came out that way. And then it was actually the act of saving her daughter. And
Yeah.
then Maya takes over,
hmm
not in the car, but she actually takes over in the house, tending to the
Yeah.
daughter. I think that would have been a much more powerful story.
Yeah. I could see that point. I could see how.
Maya falling in love with Yana, understanding Yana's duties and
Mhm.
why she can't commit, why she can't go any further. And then actually finishes up with yes, Yana still makes his noble sacrifice, but then Maya steps up and takes over the role as like a guardianship, the role of the shaman. I think that would have been much more powerful and interesting story to tell.
Yeah. It would have been a completely different story too, and I just don't think that that's what this story is about.
Mm,
And I do think like this story is a good example of a very intentional title, and ultimately that's what the story is about is like the danger of attachment, the dark side of attachment,
mm.
and the sort of need to understand when attachment needs to be let go. So I guess that's what I sort of saw in this movie, but I can definitely see all of your points, and if that I also think that a romantic relationship doesn't necessarily have to be the center of a story for you all the time, and I did like the relationship as it was between Maya and Yana. I felt like it was a very fun relationship, like that new relationship that's trying to appease and fit in with the new family structure, regardless of how unhinged that family structure feels to
Yeah.
you. It was a big part of Maya's character development for me, of her like trying with all her might to like appease Hana despite how completely rigid she was. And obviously Hana had her reasons, but we don't know that when we're first following along with it. So it was an interesting relationship to me, but
Mhm.
I agree with a lot of your points, especially regarding the ending, that there's ways it could have been much more powerful for sure.
Yeah. Oh well, let's folks check it out
So don't
anyway.
kick me out of your shop.
No, no. You're not fast enough to be on here for these conversations. Too polite. No. How dare people respectfully disagree with each other? Not allowed. Where's my clickbait? Eh? Where am I going to get clickbait from?
Here's your
My
clickbait.
rage bait.
Colin hates all Londoners, all Southern Londoner women. That's
That's
your clickbait right there.
that's not exactly clickbait. That's just a statement of fact. That's anybody who's from the north.
Okay, there you
There's
go.
the UK and then there's a London twat. You know what I mean? That's a given.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
And Londoners
again,
hate everybody
cultural
else
blindness.
outside the M25. That's like their circle of salt. The M25 motorway goes all the way around London to protect themselves from
That's
us
the circle of
savage
salt.
hordes. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I'm glad I know that now. I'll make sure not to
There you
break
go.
that barrier if I ever
Come
do
on, this
come
show
to
learn some things.
Yeah, absolutely. Learned so much today.
Nah, man. No, thanks. This was cool. Like I said, it's all about the conversation. That's what we're here about, you know. And
Yeah,
I don't agree with this. Everyone has to be in lockstep. You know, that's boring.
absolutely. I'll make sure to suggest another movie you hate next time I want to come on, or
Yeah,
that I think you'll hate. I might just keep
I
doing that to
already
you.
have. Look, I already get stitched up on a monthly basis, at least from the audience. They're like, check us. That used to be a thing. It went on for about 3 months. Everyone would try and stitch me up. Oh, you'll
Yeah.
really like this. I know you don't like found footage, so you'll really like this one. And then they'll pick the shittest movie possible. And then when I'm on live stream, they're like, ha 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 ha. I'm like, all right, is that the way it is? You bastards. Just trying to make me have an aneurysm.
You're surprisingly immune to aneurysms, as you've proven.
As having a tiny brain, it solves the problems.
Oh, that's yeah.
Yeah, when you've got a
nice.
microscopic brain, like you don't have to worry about a lot of stuff. It just doesn't go in there. Rattles about lots of space.
That must be what's protected me all this time as well.
There you go, mate. Thanks very much for coming on. Great to talk about this. And don't forget, folks, check out Kern Voices from the Cold Book 2. Link
Please
is in
do.
the description, of course. So you can check it out. And of course, when the newsletter goes out, it'll be there as well. So you can see it there. But just easy to say, until next time, keep up to date with the channel, do the type of clicky things, and remember to keep it creepy, keep it horrific.